Dench. She's on a bench. Dame Judi Dench. See her there, down there in a trench. Dame Judi Dench. She's on a bench. She's not a witch.
And that was the very harrowing and needlessly explicit Dame Judi Dench story. Who knew she used to kill chimps like that? And with an axe, no less. I can never unhear that. And I thought she was so lovely. Damn you, Dame Dench. Damn you and your heart stained with chimp guts. I'm sorry. And now, all of us here at Radio Flange Goblet would like to say a big happy 3-year anniversary to the After Movie Diner. It's not always been an easy road for the diner here in the hallowed hallways of Flange Goblet Towers. There was occasions of name-calling, spitball ambushes, and yes, diner, I did take a shit in your hat. But you did eat all of my yogurt from the staff fridge. Oh, I know you blamed Henry Turnbrick's leather elevating clinic, but I have it on good authority he was in Portland having his anus waxed that very afternoon and couldn't possibly have eaten all of my yogurt. And I don't even want to go near the sausage incident. When food is clearly labelled or in the top left-hand corner of the fridge, you leave it the hell alone. Also, I know we pinned your children down and shaved them, shipped them to Belize and made them perform utterly filthy mimes for enraged and excitable Siberian businessmen, but you did read my copy of What Ointment magazine and bent the spine right back, even though you know I like a fresh magazine. Together, though, over the last 3 years, I think, personally, we've formed a bond of mutual respect, and in the last 6 months we've only had occasion to break 3 of your toes once, which, when you consider the infamous Michael Bolton Christmas argument of 2012, is a marked improvement. By this time next year, we may even make you a cake, put some banners up, and promise that only some of the cake, not all, was made from our own toenail clippings. So, while there are still resentments, and while even now I'm sure you're planning some heinous act of revenge, like accidentally pouring our soda away or leaving the window open in a communal area so the bats can get in again, we do sincerely hope that this next year is your very best and the show goes from strength to strength. Because, well, if it doesn't, we'll cancel you. Big Eric will kneel on your arms, and Lanolin, filled with canned peaches, will unleash a torrent onto your face of her heinous lady piss. No, it really shouldn't look like that. Well, what are you talking about? It's all green and swollen. Get it looked at, man. Hi, hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the After Movie Diner. But it's an exceedingly special episode of the After Movie Diner. Why, I hear you cry, your mouths all agape. Well, hopefully from the intro you will have gleaned that it is our 3rd year anniversary. Yes, as of Friday the 25th, which is the Friday that's just gone, we were 3 years old, and we enter our 4th year today with this very episode, and it's very exciting. And I have to say, as I was looking back over the last 3 years while I was putting this show together, a lot of emotions came back to me, a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts, you know. I'm not sure that the listeners really understand just what work goes into producing this every week, just the strain it takes on my mental capacity, on my body, my physicality, the very essence of who I am as a human being, my mind. It can get very difficult at times. And other times you can feel mighty, and other times you can feel important. But I guess the best way to describe it would be to sing. I've always found that singing is the best way to describe what one is feeling.
A milestone like this, you feel more like a man. You're growing hair down on your ass. You're doing the best you can. You put out 131 shows and you'll put out 100 to kill an otter and sacrifice an elk a day. You had to do hand-to-hand combat with a wizard dressed like Brian May. The internet's a jungle, but atop it, you walk tall. It's been 3 years of carnage, and if you didn't have a set before, now you've got the balls. You've got the balls. It's been three long years. It's been 3 years. It's been three long years. It's been 3 years. Well, they say it goes by in the blink of an eye, but I would sadly disagree. You just all walked at work, giggling or listening, relaxed, not caring a hermit's cock for me. It's all the rituals, the shits, the pills, the sleepless nights that you don't see. I killed a drifter and now I wear his skin, and in the shower I sing, let it be. It's been three long years. It's been 3 years. It's been three long years. It's been 3 years. But look, it's a lovely day. The sun is shining and that dog has his bits on display. A woman with a double pushchair's child broke free and got away, and ran into oncoming traffic. Well, what more do I say? Well, I could sit in this meadow, counting my hours, lying and dreaming I've been saved. But there's a show due tomorrow, I've got to wallow in my sorrow. This editing has turned me depraved. Three long years. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 long years. Oh, it's been 3 long
Sorry, I got carried away there, but I think you kind of understand what it is I've been going through and what it is I continue to put myself through producing this show for you every week. And talking about putting the show together every single week and trying to make it as exciting, as interesting as possible, and trying to make it available throughout the internet, I have recently stumbled upon a site called Patreon, I believe, or Patreon. I don't know how you wish to pronounce it, but it's Patreon. And what Patreon allows you to become as a listener or as a fan or as a friend to the After Movie Diner, or indeed lots of creative people out there, vloggers, bloggers, podcasters, artists, musicians, all sorts of things, is you can become a patron, essentially, or a sponsor or a contributor to the After Movie Diner. And if you contribute a certain amount, then there are rewards for you, and there are things that you can get from me personally and from the diner if you contribute a certain amount, or if you just want to, let's say, throw $1 a show. Let's say that, just $1 a show. That's $4 a month. Not even that, some months. Some months I only do 3 shows. I average around 40 shows a year. So I don't even do a show a week. But if you put down like $1 a show, then you get a shout out to say thank you on the show. But if you put down more money per show, then you can win songs, and you can win personalized videos, and you can win your chance to have your products and your creativity and so on mentioned frequently on the show. There's like advertising spots and all sorts of things that you can win if you put some money towards the diner, if you sponsor the diner. But like I say, the lowest price is $1 a show. A lot of people have already done that. So why don't you head on over to patreon.com, that's patreon.com/After Movie Diner, and why not sponsor the diner today and keep getting the same fantastic content, but know and be content in the fact that although for 3 years you've been getting it free, you can now give a little bit back and help me crawl out of the gutter that I'm currently living in, help me to continue to do the show as frequently as I possibly can, help me to feel encouraged and pushed forward to get the best interviews and to do the best songs and do all sorts of things. Just in general, have the satisfaction that you are supporting independent media creation. That's what it's all about, people. Head over to patreon.com/After Movie Diner and become a sponsor of the show today. See your name in lights. And to that end, I would like to say a big public thank you to our first 3 sponsors. Mr. Danger Chris Jones, thank you very much, sir. Mr. James Wallace, thank you. Big thank you to you. And the wonderful and radiant Jill Tilley. You tell me what you want to say on the show. If you want me to insult Douglas, let me know, and I'll be happy to do it. Thanks so much, guys. The 3 of you donating to the show means an absolute ton, and it's got the ball rolling with the whole Patreon thing. So I hope other people follow suit. Thanks ever so much again, Chris Jones, James Wallace, and Jill Tilley.
Hey John, it's Mike dropping an MP3 on year 3 of the After Movie Diner. Wow, what a run it's been, huh? Hey, you know what? Being a podcaster myself, I've compiled quite a list of celebrities in my Skype directory. How about we bring a few of them in to wish you a happy anniversary? All right, I am going to dial Arnie.
Good morning.
Hey Arnold, it's Mike calling you about that thing we discussed the other day.
I lied.
Whoa, what do you mean you lied? You're not going to do this now? Seriously? You can be a dick sometimes.
Fuck you, asshole.
And he seems like such a nice guy. Oh well, let's try another one. Let's call Stallone.
Yo, Adrian!
Hey Sly, it's Mike. Hey, do you recall that thing I talked to you about the other day? You know, with the After Movie Diner podcast?
Of all the guys in the world, why did you pick me?
So is it a good time to talk?
You want to talk? We'll talk.
Well, yeah, you could possibly wish John and his listeners a happy anniversary or something of the sorts.
Are you crazy?
Holy crap, man, we are striking out. One more strike and that's going to be it. All right, I'm going to call your favorite guy now, John Steven Seagal. Hey, lawman, what's up, man? It's Mike. If you're ready, let's knock this out for John, shall we?
Well, I've been studying the martial arts since I was a young boy, and went to Japan in my early youth and lived there for almost 20 years and certainly got a few black belts and was the first non-Asian in Japan to teach the Japanese. I had my own dojos there and taught people for a long time.
Come on, Steve. It's not about you right now. It's about the After Movie Diner and their 3-year anniversary.
People love action movies and love the kind of movies where the bad guys get the comeuppance. That's primarily, in my opinion, because the judicial system is such that half the time our law protects the bad guys, and it's very, very hard to convict, harder and harder to arrest and convict.
All right, this isn't working. Go have yourself a double cheeseburger, will ya? Well, John, I tried. I don't know what to say. These guys were all on board a few days ago when I spoke with them, but apparently not now. So happy anniversary to you and the After Movie Diner podcast. Looking forward to another 3 years. We'll talk to you later.
Hello, John. This is Robert Long from SmasherTrashIndieFilmmaking.com here in Baltimore, Maryland. And I just wanted to say congratulations to 3 fantastic years of the After Movie Diner. Keep it going. I hope it keeps going on forever. There's always good and bad movies to look at, and your passion is just outstanding. So all of us Dolerites down here in the Baltimore area, we love what you do. Keep going. Bye-bye.
Hi, Dr. X and Kick-Ass Kid. This is one of your fans, Jason. Happy 3rd anniversary for your show. I think this is a really great step. You guys put out a lot of good content for people like me and you put out like a lot of good shows, and you do commentaries on different films that some of us aren't aware of, and you make us ponder and wonder. I mean, even before your show, I didn't even know what a Steven Seagal is, and now here I am watching a lot of Steven Seagal movies lately. All I'm going to say is keep up the good work, and I'm expecting some surprises in the future. From one of your fans, Jason Ritter. Bye.
Well, a big thank you there to Mike, Robert, and Jason, who sent in some audio messages for our 3rd anniversary. I think obviously Jason got a little bit confused. He's on the Facebook group where the Diner and Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid commentaries are kind of lumped together because it's a group for both the shows. So when I was posting about the 3rd anniversary, he must have thought I meant the other one. But thanks ever so much, Jason. Obviously, the sentiment is there, and I understand it. And thanks ever so much for sending that in. That's fantastic. We also got some emails, so I guess it's time we, for the first time in a long time, have the mail jingle. Here comes the postman, I wonder what he has for me. There's something in his big brown sack, I wonder what could it be. Well, I hope the bills it lacks and instead brings me some listener feedback, or maybe, just maybe, a big bag of crack. Oh, here comes the postman, I wonder what he has for me. Okay, so the fantastic Craig Earl sent us this message. He said, just wanted to say happy 3rd birthday to the After Movie Diner. And since it's both of our birthdays today, that makes it extra special. With that being said, I just wanted to drop a line and truly express how fantastic the show is and how much I love the fun format and the well thought out and intelligent interviews. As a writer, I can tell the hard work and research that goes into each and every show, and it's both appreciated and extremely enjoyable. Keep up the great work. All the best, Craig Everett Earl, who is the director of a movie called Intrusion, Disconnected, which will be coming out soon, starring Katie Stewart, Lee Haycraft, Corey Feldman, no less, and Scream Queen Tiffany Shepis. Okay, and then the director of Freaky Farley, Monsters, Murders, Marriage in Las Vegas, if that's the right way around, and the most recent one, which is Don't Let the River Beast Get You, which I happen to be wearing the t-shirt of that tonight. Charles Roxburgh, he wrote to us, hey John, congrats on reaching the 3-year mark with your podcast. Much respect for your productivity. Keep up the good work, Charlie. Okay, so let's just have a quick look over on Twitter and see if we got any messages on Twitter. Kirk Howley said, happy birthday After Movie Diner and many more. Matt Payne said, birthday cheers to the AMD straight here from Las Vegas, baby. Matt Ringler from the Schlock Treatment podcast, he wrote, congrats, I think it's time for Crispy Bread Sandwich Part 2. And that's it. That's all the birthday messages we got. I know a lot of people on Facebook put happy birthday and cheers and happy birthday and all that on some of the posts. So I know that we got a lot more people saying happy birthday on Facebook. But thank you ever so much for the feedback on that. Thank you ever so much for the third anniversary messages and all that good stuff. I enjoyed that a lot. And so without further ado, let's go over to a little diner on the Upper West Side, the City Diner. And let's see what's going on there. So hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the After Movie Diner. And it is my sincere pleasure and thrill and honor and joy to introduce back onto the diner for a millionth time, but a very welcome millionth time, Mr. James Obadiah Wallace.
Good evening.
And for the first time ever on the diner, and I say I couldn't be happier and I couldn't be more pleased, his good lady wife, Theresa Wallace. Hey! And the three of us have just gone for the third year anniversary of the After Movie Diner. We just went and saw a midnight movie at the 84th Street AMC, which is the one with the lazy boys and the recliners and the whole bit.
Very cozy.
Which is very cozy and very awesome. And what film did we see, James?
We went and saw the Luc Besson, possibly the most French movie that's ever been made.
How much more French could this be?
And the answer is none
more French.
Lucy, starring Scarlett Johansson and Morgan Freeman, and briefly Julian Rhines-Tutt.
Yes.
As an odd cameo.
Well, he needed like an affable Englishman to be kind of comical and
to be floating above the horror of the situation.
Was he the doctor?
Yeah, he was the doctor.
He's the one who looked like Chip.
Yes, he did look a bit.
He always looks like Chip.
Yeah.
He also plays. Have you seen all the Black Books now, T?
No, she hasn't.
Oh yes, so that's for us two.
For us two, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Another one?
What are
mini straw?
Yes, the celebratory milkshake.
Yes.
What are the Black Books?
Oh, it's a comedy series from Channel 4, and in it he had a cameo as a like affable adventurer with big floppy hair.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, he was in it because they needed this English doctor to explain the full horror of the. Well, I guess we should just talk about the plot, right?
Yes. Cheers.
Ginger, happy birthday to the diner.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start off by briefly saying this was the greatest modern midnight movie I've ever seen.
Agreed.
Because it's utterly bonkers, but utterly brilliant in every possible way. Except, well, we'll discuss in a bit. But basically the plot is, as the trailer explained, Scarlett Johansson, she's a tourist abroad in Thailand. She has got... Was it Thailand or Taiwan?
No, Taiwan.
Taiwan.
She's a student in Taiwan.
Okay, so she's a student in Taiwan. It is indicated that she has been dating or hanging out with a kind of boozy fella bum called Richard. And we join the action with Richard trying to convince her to take a silver briefcase into a hotel, ask for a Mr. Chang or Mr. Yang or something like that.
Yang.
And give him the briefcase. He can't do it because he's done it lots of times. Mr. Yang doesn't like him, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he comes up with lots of
spurious reasons.
The longer it goes on and she refuses to take the case, the more it becomes apparent that he doesn't want to take the case, and that this is all a bit dodgy. And so the more he tries to persuade her, the less she wants to do it, until eventually he basically tricks her by handcuffing her to the suitcase and makes her go in.
And what is indicated by that opening scene with her and Richard is that despite her clearly being like a party girl or a student or whatever it is, she still had some kind of nous about her. She wasn't a dumb blonde. She had some nous about her as a human. That's important because as she evolves into Lucy later on, the fact that she had nous and the fact that she was already kind of curious will kind of help.
Yeah, although I would say this. In the period, anyway, it all goes south. As soon as she goes into the hotel, it all goes south very quickly, and it becomes apparent that she's got some very bad.
But in a ridiculous kind of Takeshi Miike way, in which there are all these Asians walking around in like black suits, white shirts, black ties, like a kind of Kill Bill, very stylized Japanese type thing. There's clearly this big boss guy has been carving someone up with some kind of sharp instrument.
And why? That made no sense.
Doesn't matter.
But it really didn't matter.
No, they drag her in. She's doing an amazing performance of like looking really scared.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody do scared like that.
She did. She was Because that was really great scared.
Unlike horror movies.
The breathing. And
Yeah. Because unlike horror movies, when they're scared like that, they're like running and there's lots of movement, or they're in a corner and they're not moving. This was, she's caught up in something. You know what I mean? And walking along, but like completely not of her own will. She just has to go. And she's
well, it
so
escalates
terrified.
really, really quickly because it goes from oh dear goons have grabbed me to oh dear goons have pushed me into a hotel room with a psychopathic Asian guy who's just carved 2 people up in the next room to oh I've just seen a guy like shot in the face right ahead of me to a whole bunch of crazy. It just escalates into a madness.
You're right. She does scared.
She does scared really well, and not only that, but from the very opening of the movie, first of all, the script, the dialogue is perfect. The pacing is perfect, and to really like hammer home the idea of all organisms are one and there's metaphors in the natural world for everything. Besson, while she is being stalked, is like throwing in images of like tigers after gazelles. And
the music was kind of amazing.
The very opening of the movie, you see a caveman, literally, or a cave lady, isn't it? It's the first woman splashing around in like a lake surrounded by mountains. But it's brilliant. Like
it's not pretentious.
It's not pretentious. You'd think it would be very French
and sort of charming.
But it's awesome when she was being stalked by the guys, and it was a very obvious metaphor.
It was kind of funny too.
But it was so well done. It was really interesting.
I have to say that I found my respect for her. I never knew what the big deal was about her. I found my respect for her through this movie because she was so good.
See, I've always liked her.
I can't imagine anyone else doing. I can't imagine saying, but she said them and they came out so well, and I bought it.
What I like about it is this is also Scarlett Johansson saying, okay, Marvel, you won't give me my own movie, here's my superhero movie. That's exactly what this movie is. If this was a comic book, if this was like the start of a superhero thing, or the start of like you couldn't have pushed it as far as he pushed it, and you certainly couldn't have had the ending the way it was. But you could definitely have had this as like an origin, up until a point, the origin story of a superhero.
You could accept that.
But a really cool origin story.
Agree. Agree. But
that's actually very true.
It was literally like she was just sticking 2 fingers up at Marvel and go, okay, so you won't give me a Black Widow movie. Here's this movie.
I'm going to call up a Frenchman. And we're going to get
Morgan Freeman because he puts bums on seats.
You're right. The opening is this really cool thing. Well, okay, it starts off with the caveman in the lake. You're like, okay, and you have like a vague sense that there's something to do with. I mean, you know from the posters and if nothing else that it's something to do with evolution and her discovering like parts of her brain. So there's this opening with Morgan. On the one hand, you've got her having an argument with this bum. Like she's obviously a bit of a party girl, and they're off coming off the back of a long night partying. He's obviously no good, proper dodgy, and they have an argument about I need you to do this, run this dodgy errand. And that's happening. At the same time, Morgan Freeman is talking about like the Morgan Freeman and actually lecturing people as if it was like a nature documentary about like
which he does narrate. He does narrate nature documentary. So it was literally like watching him.
The March of the Penguins.
That's the one. So,
but he's done others on the Natural History Channel as well.
So you've got these 2 things happening at the same time.
Plus you've got the obscure nature footage that Besson is throwing around like a mad painter.
So bearing in mind that all I know is something to do with like he's going to use 100% of the brain capacity, so something to do with evolution, but what I'm not quite sure. So why am I watching a movie about drunk people having an argument outside a hotel and Morgan Freeman lecturing her? But I'm really enjoying it, and I sense that at some point these 2 things are going to come together, like these 2 totally different worlds. Like, stuffy academics in a little hall, asking questions, answering questions, knowledge, and people outside in the real world having arguments and getting into trouble and fucking up their lives. At some point, these things have come together in some kind of well, there's going to be a movie out of these two things.
Right. Not only that, but then all of a sudden, then there's all these Asian gangsters.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden,
and there's amongst
a Tarantino film starts happening.
The best thing about the Asian gangster scene was all the little, because it's really grim. If you think about what happens to her, it's the way that she
horrible.
really horrible, because she sees some absolutely disgusting atrocities. She sees a guy shot in the head in front of her who has to ingest some of these drugs. She's surrounded by goons. She's punched in the face. She's then
she wakes up.
She wakes up to find that her abdomen has been sliced open and drugs have been put in it.
No, but that's the thing. But that was the bit, because she wakes up and she looks like she's been operated. I'm like, well, what's happened? What have they? Because they go, oh, he's got a job for you. Like, oh, I don't know what that's going to be, but is she going to be the new drug tasting guy? That's what I thought. She was going to, but he shot the last one in the head, so clearly he needs a new one. But whatever it is, it's obviously not going to be good. And then try to wake up in a hotel room, and then she's been operated.
But what they did was,
No, go on.
What they did was that during the scene there was this whole comic scenario. Well, first of all, there was the big goon with a bloody chainsaw tattoo on his neck, which was just hilarious. Amongst all this grim stuff going on, you see this just in the corner of the screen, this little visual gag. Also, everyone is being incredibly calm except for her, which is also hilarious. Then you have this whole hysterical thing of the telephone being brought in with the translator on the phone, and you have them all babbling in I don't know whether they were Taiwanese or whether they were Japanese or what they were.
I think they were Taiwanese.
And they're all babbling, and then this guy is trying to translate to her while she's obviously having this mad panic attack. But his line is, "Oh, I did a year in some language school in New York."
Yeah, I did a year in international high school in New York.
Yeah. You know what I just I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, I was going to say, so there's humour throughout. Then, when she wakes up and she doesn't know what's happened to her stomach and blah, 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 then your man, Ryan Toote, comes in, and he's doing this whole, affable British drug dealer thing.
It's skating over, giving you everything you need to know without really explaining what a horrible, grim, murderous scheme this is.
But he was
and if you are thinking of going to the authorities, do bear in mind that we know every one of your family, right down to the distant cousin, who we will kill if you take.
Right.
Have a nice day.
Enjoy your bon voyage.
And what was it? She at the end of it, everything's fine, everything's great, thank you. And at the end of it, she was like, why are you doing this or whatever? And he's like, it's our business model, like that. And then it was really good. Anyway, T, what was your point?
Well, all I was going to say was, thinking about it, it was utterly ridiculous. The whole movie, if it was any other movie, it was completely insane and ridiculous.
Yes, of course.
Nothing made any sense, except it did.
It still doesn't make any sense.
And it was so entertaining, it just doesn't matter.
It was like Besson had watched a bunch of Jodorowsky movies and then gone, who did Holy Mountain and some others, or he just watched a bunch of mad Japanese films or something. It was literally he'd overdosed.
It was very anime. Very anime.
Well, a lot of his stuff is.
It had that feel of.
It was.
There's a lot of anime where, and I don't particularly care for most of it actually, but a lot of it, lead characters do get transformed by something into some kind of superhuman, but barely controllable force.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they have a lot of trouble.
What he did was he combined a superhero movie with a strokey beard montage French movie with an action movie.
It was parts of it
with a philosophical French movie. It was
a Bourne movie. Parts of it like a Bourne movie.
Yeah.
She sort of turned it. She basically went from party girl to. What's the best way to put it? She was
well, she became an X-Men, really, is what she became.
No. She became like Jason Bourne meets fucking, I don't know. Yeah, like all the X-Men.
All the X-Men together.
And Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
So then you'd have what she was able to do. But everything she did, and this is the thing that you never get in X-Men films, right? I mean, sometimes you do. But everything she did was really funny. Yeah. It wasn't just that it was super cool and action, when she's driving the car and the chase and all the rest of it. Everything she's doing at the whole thing. It's not just super cool, it's also really funny.
This was the funniest car chase since the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
You know in the Blues Brothers where the police cars are just literally, and it becomes this sort of orgy of car wrecks. This movie had that. The bit with the most French man in the world who has the French...
All the cops couldn't have been more French. He clearly got just people walking into the room going, no, yes, no.
The guy with the long hair.
Not French enough, yes.
The guy with the long hair and the grubby brown jacket. I loved him more than I care to mention. And then the dude who was on the market stall with the incredibly long nose, no hair, a flat cap, and he was reading like the Metro or whatever. And then these cars just smash and erupt and crash right past him, and he's like, he might as well have gone sacre bleu. Like, it was really ridiculous. It was,
and the French captain was an exact cross between Vincent Cassel and Zinedine Zidane. That's what he looked like. He was unbelievably French. The whole film was like, at any point, Dustin was like, am I being too French? and then the voice went, no, I'm not being French enough.
The best thing about it is that, you're right, T, it's utterly ludicrous from start to finish. However, it's so well done and so well put together and so well. The pacing is actually very important.
Yeah.
If it had been too kinetic to begin with, if it had been like blah, 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 to begin with, it would have lost me instantly. You really needed to engage from the moment one. You needed to completely and utterly root yourself into the world, so that when it went crazy, when she went bonkers, when she could
that's true,
disintegrate or float people or see through trees or whatever it was, you went with it because the world was believable. And I don't know how many times we've been in the diner, either here or at home or whatever, and we've said the problem with modern movies and the problem with writing is they don't understand you have to root it within the world that the story takes place in. It doesn't have to be a quote-unquote real world. It doesn't have to be one that we necessarily recognize, but it has to be one we can believe in from frame one.
Yeah. And you're right, actually,
the rules are there.
That opening scene of her arguing with the guy, her being wary and like no mug and not being cartoonish. Like she could have been cartoonish, like a proper dumb blonde who then takes stuff, and like she is to a certain extent. She is like a good time, but if she was, she'd be like, I don't know, I've got a broken nail or whatever. But she is going, no. The more he's being like, no, you need to take the case. She's going, I don't think so. I need to go. It's not being mean or cruel or anything. Just like, I know what's going on here. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
And then without that, then all the things that happen, because everything that happens in the movie, like, is happening to her as much as she's making it happen to other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And without that rooting in the beginning, which is the rooting in the world of her and the world that she's coming from, none of it means anything.
No. You know, and I like the way that the two narrative things that were pushing the movie along was initially, right, we've got to get the guys, because she's one of 4 who have had drugs implanted into them.
Right. We should point out, by the way, that the whole reason this happens, because we missed that, the whole reason this happens is while she's being held captive after having the drugs put inside the system, she gets kicked in the stomach and the bag bursts.
Right.
And as a result, all this stuff, which we later find out...
And that was an awesome scene with her like crawling up the wall.
That was so cool.
And vibrating.
I thought, wow, this is totally mad. And then by the end of it, she was literally trying to hold on to reality.
Yeah,
she was chained to the wall,
that was
and
a really
she was
good
like floating away. Yeah. It's very cool.
I don't know how they did that, but it was a super.
It was really good. And then from that point on, that's when she becomes like Bourne, like. Because in the same way that Jason Bourne...
Well, the other thing we should mention is throughout the movie, more of the drugs are slowly entering her system.
Or she deliberately takes them in.
So that happens later, but that's...
That happens in the plane, so not that much later.
No, but initially you see 20%, 30%. It's not till she's at like 50 before she has to take the next load.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, fair enough, yeah.
But what I'm saying is every 5 or 10 minutes you get a big caption that says 10%, 20%, indicating more of her brain is expanding.
Yeah, she's using more of her brain capacity.
Because Morgan Exposition Delivery System Freeman had already explained at the beginning that at 10% this will happen, at 20% this will happen, at 40% we don't know.
Yeah. Which was cool. But yeah, so she becomes basically like that same Jason Bourne thing of You don't exactly. I mean, although in her case, you don't exactly know what her mission is or what her plan is, but she's definitely got one. She's got a place to be.
That's where we started from. I said that the mission, the movie at a certain point became, we've got to get back the other 3 guys who have it in their system.
Yeah, she needs the drugs.
Well, she needs to take them out of circulation, if nothing else.
She needed them.
We find out eventually, but I don't want to spoil everything about the ending. But
that's a good point.
Eventually...
No, but as far as, in terms of, in the course as the movie goes along...
In terms of pushing the story along...
The narrative is, for some reason, she needs the rest of the drugs.
Right.
It's very important. And it's also important to her to talk to the Morgan Freeman character because she goes online and reads a billion articles or whatever and decides he's the one human being on planet Earth that might be able to understand what it is that she's going through. And so she basically asks him, quite near the beginning when all this happened, so what do I do? It's like I can feel all this stuff happening. I've already done a bunch of weird shit.
And I can learn all this stuff.
And I can learn anything. Yeah. So what do I do? And his advice is you should pass it on. Whatever knowledge you're getting.
Well, he has this whole scientific theory that...
But his face, by the way...
he was amazing.
His reaction
he was so good
to her. It was so good. And Luc Besson said to him, don't worry about... You take your time. What I loved about it is she was talking. It's fast. I haven't got time to waste. This
Monotony,
is information. I've got to get the information out because I don't have a lot of time. And his reaction was completely different, on a completely different.
Yeah.
It was just.
He went through so many different.
He took the time to process everything that was happening to him. So he doesn't mind looking at her for 5 seconds in total silence.
Yeah.
While he's thinking. It's not I don't believe this. I don't know how to.
He has no choice but to believe it because she starts showing him all the stuff she can do.
Top class deadpan comic reactions to things, top class. The bit where the camera pans back and he sat there with his dressing gown on the phone, just looking at her with a moment of genius.
The thing about this film is I cannot, for the life of me, put my finger on it. I can't. It was a really great experience, but I can completely see someone going in without the frames of reference we might have, without the kind of love of ludicrous French stuff that we might have, without the just joy and the sheer imagination of the movie. I mean, the movie has imagination by the bucket load. I mean, it might make no literal sense. It might not be based on any actual science, but it has...
If you were to look at a poster of the movie, if I could stick one word in quotes, above the movie, says the New York Times, then the one word I would choose would be bonkers.
Yeah.
That would be the word I would
And then right below it, in slightly bigger font, French.
Well, Bonkers, a film by Luc Besson.
By French people.
Yeah. A movie by renowned Frenchman. Luc Besson.
But my point being is that I can completely understand people going into this movie without all the stuff that we had, and without it being I was very up for a midnight movie. I just thought this could be terrible, but it's going to be.
I didn't know what to expect.
But it's going to be Luc Besson terrible, and
I
when
thought it was
Luc
going to be
Besson
far more Transporter.
Right.
The Luc Besson or Taken, that kind of thing. She'll get a big break passion, and so she'll become a big kick-ass action heroine, and then we'll get a kick-ass action. And it is that, only it's not. It's not.
She doesn't actually.
She never hits or kicks anybody.
She doesn't, does she?
She doesn't really
I thought she might.
Life either.
I thought she might in the corridor.
But that's too small.
Yeah. That was the thing, because even but there were points in the movie where I was there's a point in the movie where it stops becoming about what's happening on planet Earth. Let's just put it that way. And at that point, I was going, I realised that there's a part of me, the movie-going part of me, still wants to see her get the bag back.
Yeah,
How stupid is that?
People dying right out there. She could do something about it. That's what I was thinking.
Right,
but the whole point is that without spoiling the ending, it's more important that she does what she does.
No, of course.
In the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things, it's nothing.
And in fact, she manages.
And she knows that.
In the fact that she manages to do what she does literally within split seconds of almost not being able to do it
Which
anymore.
was unbelievably
without,
tense.
Without spoiling anything.
Did you feel like I know, like, while she was, off, and he was,
I really want to talk about that bit.
Yeah, but I was so tense during that moment. I was like, oh my God, is she going to get... Because it was the point where she was going to get, like, to the she was going to get to 42. She was going to get to the answer of the ultimate question, life, the universe, and everything. And just at that point, you would go, "Oh my God!" But could it all end just by this one,
crazy person that she probably should have killed 2 hours ago?
So, but that's to have the stakes big, like somebody.
And in the background, you could just see the 4 scientists. You could just see the 4 scientists all stood there in the background going, "We have no idea what to do because we're scientists.
We are so far out of our comfort zone here."
We've got
he called us up on a Tuesday and said, "You really do have to come by to my office. Trust me, you won't regret it." I am now beginning to regret it.
Yeah, mad
because
shit
there's
happened.
a mad gangster in here with a gun.
Yeah.
But to have like to pull off a scene where one character is in their consciousness about to solve the mystery of everything, and then for this very mundane action movie thing to be happening at the same time, and for that still to be tense and make you to buy all of it. Like, I hope she figures it all out. Why does my brain think? Right. I hope she figures out the ultimate question to life before, and I'm really thinking that.
The last 10 minutes of this movie is ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, which is Lucas's company.
Oh, is it?
But yeah. But the last 10 minutes of this movie is ILM. I'm going to say it. It's ILM's O-face, is what it is. The last 10 minutes of this movie is ILM's unhinged O-face, pushed through the spectrum of Besson doing Jodorowsky doing Kubrick. That's what the end of this movie is.
Yeah, it really is.
It's Besson going a bit of Kubrick in there, a bit of Spielberg in there, a bit of Jodorowsky.
I wonder,
in there.
what would happen if Kubrick had been French. What's what that movie look like?
Yeah, it's a film brought to you by the people who gave us Ennui. It's Ennui, right?
Yeah.
It is. Yes. Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
The other thing is,
From the people who brought us Ennui.
at the beginning of the movie,
Antoine de Vive.
Yeah, Antoine de Vive. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, and
Ennui,
Sacré
Antoine
Bleu.
de Vive, yeah.
And
where Ennui and Joie de Vivre meet, you will find Besson.
The last 15 minutes of this movie is a Damon Albarn song. Like the last 15 minutes.
The last bit of this movie is what Damon Albarn is thinking about when he's writing a song.
By Gorillas.
Yeah. That's what he's thinking about.
Yeah. Everything in the last 15 minutes of this movie is what Damon Albarn... This show could not have worked. There is so much in this movie that could have completely derailed it.
If they said like creative consultant like David Bowie started in 1978 when he was particularly high, right? I would have gone, yeah, I buy that.
Yeah, I buy
that. Bowie stoned off his mind.
I imagine that Besson. I imagine Besson sat around with Albarn, Bowie, and like the ghost of
Méliès.
Yeah, all right. And the ghost of Méliès. Yeah. I went, but Méliès, what do we do? He was like, well, I unabashedly loved every square inch of this movie.
Loved it. And even the end of the movie, where the movie had the balls to suggest that the only that you would find the answer to life, the universe, and everything within the movie. Yeah. That's what it said at the end.
Yeah.
You must go back and watch this total French bonkersness if you want to figure out the meaning of existence.
Yeah.
And that is a bold fucking claim.
It's like every movie.
Yeah, me too. And I completely would love to sit there and watch it and go, all right, Besson, show me the meaning of life.
It's every Besson movie that he's ever made, and every movie he's going to make, all in one film. That's exactly what it is.
It's every film that anybody has ever made. It is. It all happens in this movie.
If you want Asian gangsters, you've got them by the bucket load. You want crazy French policemen, you've got them by the bucket load. You want a...
It was like Born Identity, but like all these... It's like Kill Bill, Born Identity, Matrix, like all these touchstones in it that were just thrown in for the sheer hell of it.
Yeah.
2001. Like it was,
that's what I'm saying. There's 2001 in there. There's Jurassic Park in there.
Yeah. There's so many.
There's Damon Albarn in space.
I have to say, though, I love I don't know if I can talk about this part because it starts at the end, but I love. You know the old movie, The Time Machine?
Right.
Where he sits in the chair and time goes by. I love that.
Oh, see, I didn't even think. Yeah. So that's that
this
as
this was the updated version of that, and it was amazing.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. There's so many. I'd love to go through it. Now I think about it, there's loads of references to other movies all the way through.
But can I just say,
aren't clever at all. It's just like the whole world of movies is in my movie. But I'm going to make every movie.
Besson is better at doing that than Tarantino. Shock horror, but he actually is better at doing it than Tarantino.
Yeah, he is, because Tarantino's like steals specific things, whereas Besson, while you can tell just what he's filming, while he's storyboarding, it goes, we'll just do it like that, mate. Because I've got no interest in it.
By the way, there was huge swathes of the movie that made no sense.
Oh, yeah.
Right, the bit on the plane makes absolutely no sense.
But it was wicked.
It was awesomely wicked. Also, I have to say, the other thing that was really, really attractive about this movie was that the violence in it was violent. Like the R-rated, the violence was R-rated, and it was violent, and it was legitimately like squirmy making. And without it being the purpose of the movie. The purpose of the movie was not to go into the movie and be like, gore and violence, but all the violence was gory.
Literal blood and guts. In the
and
whole
honest representation.
I guess the bit was, I'm just wondering.
I'm suddenly thinking, I must be a Luc Besson fan. Like, I must just be a Luc Besson fan.
Yeah, I mean, certainly like all the movies he's produced.
Yeah. So I must just be a Luc Besson fan? Like, I'm suddenly realising
No, you did already.
Oh, what he's produced?
He produced all the Transporters, he produced Taken.
The Jason Statham ones where he's the guy that drives the car, they're really good. Taken, Liam Neeson.
He did Kiss of the Dragon with Jet Li and Bridget Fonda. He did Leon or The Professional.
3 Days to Kill. He did The Fifth Element.
The Sci-Fi?
Yeah. Which was really good up until What's His Face turns up.
That was also really crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. Yeah, he wrote that when he was a teenager.
Probably
the script, I think.
He probably sat there over a half-eaten packet of Gitain.
Yeah, he did. Looking at some Femme Nikita, that was him.
Looking at some naked Polaroids of some barely legal 15-year-old French girl that he just had croissants with the night before.
Yeah.
And he sat there going, "Oh, Marie, I love you so much. I will wrap you in bandages and you will be in my futuristic movie."
He did. There's some the one I haven't seen of his I would really like to, because I only assume it's super balmy, is the one on the subway with Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, it's just called Subway.
Oh, Subway. Christopher Lambert as
he did the Taxi trilogy as well.
Oh, yeah, they were great. Those were so good.
The remake was all, but the
original. I think I've only seen the first two, but they were really good movies. But he just does these really.
Also, he must call up like the mayor of Paris or whatever it is, or whoever like runs past. He goes, the mayor must get a phone call. It's like, what is going on? So, Luc Besson's in town again. Like
he's always exploding in Paris.
The streets of Paris, which are like these 1,000-year-old cobblestones and like these old, markets and amazing museums and galleries and all the rest of it. And Besson's just like, I'm going to blow up a car and throw it down this very old ancient road.
He did what a lot of European directors do. He made some good, exciting movies, and one of them crossed over a bit, La Femme Nikita, into America. It got a remake, but it did good business over here. So they gave him some money. He made The Professional, Leon,
in New York,
and that did good business. And then that got him to make his really big epic film, The Fifth Element, which is a bit of a flop. And then he went back to France and he made a really expensive historical epic, starring what's-her-face out of The Fifth Element.
Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc, which was a huge, again.
Did he make Joan of Arc?
Yeah, he made Joan of Arc. It was a huge, expensive flop. And then he stopped making movies for a while because, it went. And then instead,
he set up a company called Europa Report.
And what he did is he started making.
No, not Europa Report. What is it?
It's
just Europa. Europa Corps.
Europa Corps. And he basically set up a film production company in Paris,
which makes French-style 80s American style action movies.
Yeah, he's basically about like thrillers, like good old-fashioned thrillers, and he gets people like Liam Neeson or Kevin Costner or John Travolta or Jason Statham or whatever, like good actors in these, and no like.
Well, Jet Li, I mean, Kiss of the Dragon was before all of them.
Yeah. But instead of them being like Hollywood action movies, they have to hit certain beats. In the French ones, it's just the action. That's what it is. It's all about, and they're really tight, really well put together.
Well, Kiss of the Dragon has that awesome.
He writes a lot of them too.
Yeah, no, he writes a ton of them with Robert. Is it Robert Michael Kamen? Something like that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But he writes them too. And I think the first big one, like the first big success, where people were like, What's this? This is just
was the
Transporter, which is like Jason Statham was like, you know.
Well, he had done Guy Ritchie stuff.
And he was like a bit part player in Guy Ritchie movies. And all of a sudden, he's just like, and it's a terrific movie.
The first one.
I'm not sure if I've seen it.
Oh, you'd really like it. He doesn't kill anybody in the whole movie. He breaks their legs, he breaks their arms, he shoots them in the ankle, but he doesn't kill anybody.
That's cool.
It's really, really good.
Besson knows at this. What Besson has done is Besson has watched a ton of Asian movies, like a ton of Chinese movies and a ton of Japanese movies, and he knows from those movies that what you need in modern act, you need the bit of like 80s and 90s action where the guy has muscles and guns and a fast car and all the rest of it. But what you also need is you need the set pieces, which American movies didn't really have right away, but Asian movies used to have them. You used to have this situation which was like, here's the bit where we fight in a flour mill, or here's the bit where we fight in a whatever with loads of doves flying around, or here's the bit where we fight on top of a moving bus, or whatever it is. Like Asian movies always have that set piece, and literally they're called that because very often you watch some of those Jackie Chan ones, the camera literally stays back. There'll be like a big hotel that'll be set up as like a stage, literally, and stuff will go on like that until everything's been demolished, and then we move on to the next bit. And Besson took that. So the Transporter, for example, has an amazing fight where he's covered in oil and everyone else is covered in oil, and you have the fact that he has this ability to slide about the place and other people have the ability to slide.
He finds himself surrounded by about 20 guys, so he deliberately rolls in this like car oil on the floor, and then people can't grab hold of him.
It's like that's an old fighting technique.
Yeah.
You know, Normala's mom grew up in Spanish Harlem, and she told us that they used to put Vaseline. They would get into fights, like block fights with the other girls, and they would put Vaseline in their hair so that they couldn't grab them and on their arms.
Hey, that's cool.
They couldn't pull their hair out.
So
but the Transporters, as well as having the Transporter has like a really good through line. It has a really good story. It has a really good objective he's got to achieve. It has the 80s American car chases, and then it has the Japanese and Chinese influenced set pieces in every single one of the movies. And so Besson just is like dumping all this stuff in,
and he makes it work. It's
work.
It's very similar to the French New Wave movies of the 60s. Basically remade all the Hitchcock and American drive-in film noirs or whatever, and they made Breathless is just one of those movies.
Can I give us something out there?
I think we just ordered another coffee.
Just a coffee.
Just a coffee.
Coffee? One coffee?
Yeah, just one coffee. Thanks, thank you. And again, it was the same idea of, and then people were discovering these French thrillers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to see the Transporter.
You'd really like it. It's a very. I remember watching it going, because I had watched it with like the lowest of expectations, and I was expecting it was on like Channel 5 or something, and I was expecting it to change the channel. Like, you know when you tune into a movie on TV like we used to, and you're going, all right. But thinking, any minute now, I'm going to get bored and I'm going to change the channel. And then the longer it went, I was like, oh, actually, that was pretty cool. Wow, that was really cool. And then after like a few minutes, I put the control down and kind of settled in, and then it just...
Well, he also had the benefit, Besson, on the Transporter, of having Corey Yen do all the...
right, yeah, he gets good people.
Yeah,
it's
to do all the choreography. And Corey Yen had done... Corey Yen had done like Hong Kong movies for years and years and years and years.
Because that's the thing, he realised...
Absolutely checks out.
He realised... Thanks. He realised that lots of people in Hong Kong cinema or whatever want to work, you know, in American action movies, but they don't want to go to Hollywood and get mucked about. You know what I mean? Or that there's no room for it because it's all full up. So hey, why don't you come and work for us? We've got like Nisa and Costner. We're making American thrillers that are making money in America that can use your skills. We can be your jump from that cinema to Hollywood.
But to bring it back to Lucy, this is probably his most... This feels like he's gone, I've given you your Colombiana, I've given you your Taken, I've given you your Transport, I've given you your, like, action movie. Here I'm going to give you your ScarJo action movie. I'm going to give you enough of that. You're going to get people with guns, and you're going to get a car chase, and you're going to get some fighting. But I am going to now...
But if I'm going to direct it, but it's going to be more than...
Yeah, and he's basically said, I know the trailer's going to get bums on seats, but I'm going to just make whatever movie I want to make.
Yeah.
Because I have ScarJo and I have
presumably
Morgan
he wakes
Freeman.
up in the morning and sneezes into a £50 note, right? I can only assume that given that he's produced all those movies, and even the ones, because they must be pretty cheap to make, I would think. Even the ones that haven't done that well, like I don't think the Travolta one
from Paris with Love,
did much business.
Well, I had Jonathan Rhys-Meyers in. There's your first problem, Besson. Rhys-Meyers.
Also Travolta. Oh look, Travolta. No, he did that.
I don't know. Travolta could have Neesoned Travolta. There was a possibility of Neeson.
But that's my point. That's why it would never work, because somebody already Neesoned Travolta. Tarantino already did that. There's plenty of other middle-aged character actors.
I think by the time Travolta tried to do From Paris with Love, there was one too many comebacks.
Yes, I think so.
I think Hollywood can only sustain so many.
He's bald now. I don't care. Oh, Rhys-Meyers is in it, and I'll be turning around and walking away. Right.
The blandest man.
Probably quite a good movie. There's two other people in it. Although didn't he direct The Family as well?
He did. The recent one with
which
De Niro
I got about half an hour through going, yeah, but
this is awful.
This is not funny.
Yeah.
And as soon as Michelle Pfeiffer turned up in that movie, I thought, oh my god, Michelle Pfeiffer's going to completely rule this movie if given half a chance, and nobody gave her even a sniff of a chance.
No, comparing Lucy to The Family, Lucy is like a billion times better.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. It was like a drama almost. It was almost like...
Yeah, that's how
it was all over the shop. In fact, that just goes to show. It was a movie where he was trying to do something and just all over the shop. And this one was deliberately all over the shop and hit everything it tried. But it feels like there's a discipline, weirdly.
It's just a really good movie.
He's a bit... Like, the discipline is... It's like total self-indulgence, utter, complete Frenchness on sale. But at the same time, one of the reasons why those French movies are
in a palatable...
And his Besson producement is that what they all have is really, really tight discipline. Like, they've all got these great things to them, but they're also along really quickly. They're all like, they're 90 minutes long, they get the job done. There's no like, hey, we're going to have a scene now where we're going to indulge the lead actor and let him do his thing for whatever.
But they're all recognisable and palatable genres on the surface. Like Lucy on the surface, you look at the way it was advertised, that's going to get bums on seats.
Yeah.
And what's genius about it is that he then went, okay, but that's not the movie I'm making, by the way. But it just, when we were watching it and it started off and there was interspersed shots of, gazelles and the African plains and whatever like that, I was like, for a minute there I was like, this isn't working. Then I was like, no, wait a minute, this is completely working.
Yeah, I had the same reaction.
And the moment that the editing worked perfectly with a tiger grabbing the gazelle and walking away with the carcass of the gazelle as she was dragged out the thing, and then it cut to her feet literally suspended as she was being dragged along.
Yeah.
I was like, you've sold me, this movie's got me, everything about this movie works and I love it to bits.
You're right, there was a point you were going, okay,
and it was so unexpected.
And Besson knows, he's going, alright, you're either going to come with me now with I'm going to intersperse cuts of, which is not like subtle.
You know what it's like? Those bits that are interspersed. Who's the guy who's famous for making the worst movie ever?
Oh, Ed Wood.
Ed Wood.
Yeah, he used to love to put crazy what do you call it, stock footage into his films.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
so maybe
it was
that's
a
an
little
Ed Wood
bit.
thing.
But no, I don't think it's. I don't
It
think
was a little bit Ed Wood at the beginning, like that.
Ed Wood didn't do it as a juxtaposition. Ed Wood did it because he couldn't afford to go to wherever he needed to go and shoot stuff. So if he needed an explosion or a crash,
but still, it would surprise me, yeah, especially if it reminded you of it.
No, it's what. There are far more European directors who have done that.
Purpose to it, obviously.
Oh no, of course, but I think the point being, given everything else that happens in the movie, all the other references, it wouldn't surprise me.
But doesn't Bergman do it, and doesn't like?
Oh, everybody does it. Loads of people do it.
Yeah.
Just in the beginning, when I wasn't sure about it, that's who I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, even Woody's done it on occasion.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's just the beginning of it was so. Because the whole beginning of the movie is so weird anyway. Because you're expecting, but you're not sure what you're expecting. But like two hungover people arguing outside a hotel. Neither of them, like she's not looking very glamorous, and the guy that she's with couldn't look like more of a disreputable bum if he tried.
By the way,
he's not like dashing and mysterious. He's like a proper smell. I mean, you can smell how much of a bum he is. You know what I mean? And for that to be happening, and then for Morgan Freeman to be lecturing in a dry voice about, well, let's extrapolate what might happen if, really, really rough. And then all of a sudden, she's walking the hotel, and you're intercutting it with pictures of like mice walking up to traps of cheese, and this is weird.
Right, but
I'm really enjoying it.
Dude, it's a movie, though, I still claim, that someone else could watch and hate every single thing about it. It's not a movie that could win everyone over.
No, although I'd be, but it's so good. It's not.
No, but I guarantee this is going to be the most mixed reviewed movie of the year, because there are going to be some people who are just like, it's awful, it's terrible, it makes no sense, it's ridiculous, it's overblown, it's blah 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 blah.
I don't think it is.
It is completely overblown.
It's not overblown. But that's the beauty of it. It's not. No more than like some of the action sequences in Taken or whatever, like when Nisa, because they're overblown, but they're not, because it's actually tight and it's very tightly made.
This is the kind of movie that I love. This is the kind of movie that I love, because it has a sense of humour. Did you see the trailer for Interstellar, by the way, before the movie started? Did you see the trailer for it, right?
It doesn't matter if it doesn't. It doesn't matter. But no, I don't. Let's not get into that, because it's just there's no.
Oh yeah, you like Nolan? I forget.
Yeah, there's no point in comparing one.
I wasn't comparing.
But I agree with you with the case of Interstellar. I'm sure with Interstellar.
Oh, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be ponderous.
I find it very difficult. Yeah, in your opinion. But I would say that one of the reasons why I don't think it will be that divisive. It's very disciplined. Like, it does what it wants to do. It doesn't spend too long doing it. And it's done with such a sense of fun. Like, it's so obviously everyone involved in it is having an absolute ball. It'd be very difficult to be sniffy or cynical about, or accuse them of going.
Oh no, dude.
Do you know what I mean?
No. It is going to be incredibly easy to be sniffy and cynical about this movie.
I don't know.
It's one of the easiest movies to be sniffy and cynical about if you were to watch it that way. And it wouldn't take too much of a mood change to go into this movie and suddenly feel that way about it. If you went into this movie in any other kind of mood than the way we went in, which was kind of just jolly and midnight movie-ish and blah, 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 you could really loathe it. I mean, you really could loathe it.
I can see that.
I can see that, but I understand.
Especially the last 15 minutes. That is a big gamble, that last 15 minutes.
But I understand what you're saying. But what I'm pointing out is it's always problematic, in my opinion, to imagine that other people might not like something. Having worked in TV, right, as I have, you'd be amazed how many times you hear, well, I think it's great, I think it's great, I think it's funny, but I'm not sure that other people would get it. And so many things, especially in Hollywood, are turned down, or not made, or decisions are changed, based on, even though I connect with it, I can imagine that other people would. And what I'm saying is, for the three of us who all went, I understand that we all went and midnight movies, but we all connected with it in exactly the same way. It all completely swept all of that out of our minds. We all got bowled along by it. We didn't think it was pretentious. We knew it was like this incredibly French, overblown piece of craziness on Solo. But we all went with it from the start to the finish and walked out with a huge smile on our faces. And all I'm saying is, given that happened to all of us, it's easy to divide us, even with a trailer for a movie.
Right.
But here's a movie.
Yeah, because you want to see that Downey Jr.
Right, exactly.
You
We're
never
just
loved
talking
me,
about trailers. Right.
Yeah.
So here's a movie that, despite being like balm on a stick, completely swept us up and entertained us in a way that we haven't been entertained in ages. And I find it difficult to believe that couldn't happen to everybody.
Dude,
that's what I'm saying.
I have had conversations with people online about movies that are just fun. And their only purpose for existing is to be fun. They don't need to be looked deeply into. They're just fun movies, right? And they knock about and this blah, 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 blah. And I've had like knockout discussion arguments with people who think they are the worst films ever made when they're just being made for enjoyment and entertainment purposes. Because so many people nowadays, especially critics online, do not go into movies for entertainment. They go into movies for some other... That's why... And just allow me this one quick thing. That's why things like Tarantino and things like Nolan, because they appear on the surface to be very talky and very clever and have lots of words flying around the place, get the accolades that they do. Because they are, although on every single level they are fluffy, pretentious...
No, they're not.
Hang on a second.
This is just your opinion. But even you having this opinion is sort of proving your own point.
I'm saying that people look at something like a Nolan movie or like the later Tarantino ones, Inglourious Bastards and Django Unchained, right? And because they're long and there's great costumes and it's well filmed and a bunch of other reasons, they embrace them and they're very serious about them and there's lots of like critiques about them and so on and so forth. And then they look at a movie like Lucy, or they look at a movie like Taken, or they look at a movie like The Expendables, they look at a movie, whatever, that is just made to be entertainment. Yes, bonkers, weird, wonderful, crazy, imaginative.
But people like Taken. Taken was critically well received.
I'm talking about online discussions I've actually had with people.
Yeah, but people online,
people online are the same as people in the world. And my point is that where we're going to see the majority of the reviews for this movie will be online. And I'm saying that a movie like this, which skirts on a knife edge, the whole movie, because if you go too far either way at any point, the whole thing collapses. With a movie like that, you are going to, I guarantee, I can go home tonight and find as many reviews that absolutely hated it as loved it. And if I'm proved wrong, absolutely, it's fine. I won't even put this in the show. But
I think I would agree with that.
That's fine. All I was saying is, I think it's dangerous to speculate on.
Look at Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim's the perfect example. Some people watch that and see the greatest movie they've ever seen, and other people watch it, like me, and thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Right, but all movies are like that.
No, they're not. No. There are certain movies that try and hit a imaginative peak that audiences either really connect to or really hate.
Yes, I see.
Most movies are just movies, and people.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
Moderately like them or they don't.
I do see what you're saying.
But there are movies like Scott Pilgrim, and there are movies like Lucy, and there are some other movies out there that people either love or hate. There are people who hate The Big Lebowski, absolutely hate it, and yet it's a huge cult movie.
Yeah, I do see what you're saying about, and I think that Scott Pilgrim is a good example. Although I haven't seen it, but I understand that. But I think it may be the kind of movie. I enjoyed it so much and didn't feel like I was skating over anything, that I feel like it could get well received by everyone.
I hope it does. I really hope it does.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I enjoyed the theater too.
It was a fun,
nice experience.
Watching it in the reclining seats was really nice too. Thanks.
Yeah,
that was great.
That was really, really lovely. And yeah, it was a really, really great movie. And there's not that many movies that the three of us could watch and have the same reaction.
No, I loved it.
And again, I thought she was fantastic in it.
She was really good.
I see now. I really do see.
I was gonna say I had one negative about the film, which I haven't brought up until now.
Okay.
And as much as I agree, she was amazing in the movie, especially when she was required to act. And I understand why she made the decision she made, acting-wise, once she became 50%, 60%, 70% of her brain power. I understand why she made the decision she made to be very cold, monotone, starey, and so on. I'm not sure that 100% worked.
I think actually the problem was, because I sort of agree with you, it really worked well in the close-ups, because you could see there were like bits of her face that were like twitching and not quite working and not quite right. Like you had a feeling that she was barely holding it together. Like when there was a close-up on her face when she was doing all the whole, stare monotone thing, there was a feeling that she was talking like that and being like that because there was no time, and because she was like trying to hold like the very like cells in her body together, like after what we saw. And that's when it worked. But you're right. Any other shot that wasn't that, where she was just talking in monotone, was a bit like.
I think it was because she was detaching from humanity a bit.
Yeah, and that was definitely.
As she was becoming closer to it, she was detaching.
Yeah, that's true. She mentioned something that mentioned about that specifically.
Well, that's why she.
Yeah, I think
that's why she kissed the
that.
police guy, and she said for.
To remember or something?
To remember for old time's sake or something like that.
Yeah. But you're right, she did say something about...
And and that's why I say I understand why she made the actually decision, but watching the movie, especially when she was doing those quick, like, you better do your nose, get me some champagne, that stuff on the plane, it was almost too robotic. It could have been slightly more... just a little cadence to it, that's all I mean.
Yeah, a little bit of...
I would agree with that.
But that was my only complaint.
But a little bit of charisma, a little bit of...
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
That,
I think you're right, because I think there's certain people, certain actors, that just doing a monotone could probably pull that up, because the charisma was there anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when she was herself...
Yeah.
When she was herself, or when she was called upon to do some mad physical thing, she was amazing.
Yeah, and the close-ups where in her face she was trying to be still and trying to be monotone, but couldn't quite do it. That you could see things happening almost underneath the skin. That was extraordinary bit of acting. Right? There were a couple of bits where you could almost see. Like partly her whole like insides were almost disintegrating behind her face, constantly being reinvented, constantly growing. Just by acting was not do and trying to make it look like you're not trying to do anything that's pretty extraordinary.
But I think that when she got with the police guy, and then when she got with Freeman. Because they were both so good, Freeman and the police guy, they were really, really animated. They reacted to her perfectly. That saved the movie. Had it been more of her by herself, it would have been a real issue.
That is true.
Yeah. I tell you one thing that I really liked as well is how fast it all went by. When she went into the university and all the bad guys drove up, I was like, oh, we're already at the finale. That took no time at all to get, and it's only like an hour and a half long. It took no time to get to the finale, which is pretty impressive, I think.
But no, for me, I would say it's the perfect modern midnight movie.
Agreed. I would go along with that. I would say,
and therefore I mean it that there is elements of action, elements of B-movie, elements of like what the F sci-fi stuff.
It was funny.
It was funny.
Really funny.
But like the kind of things they play in midnight movies are stuff like...
Yeah, it's like all midnight movies in one.
Action movies, 2001, Jodorowsky's movies. That's the kind of stuff they play in midnight movies, and
there was
all
horror
those
too. Like
influences.
the beginning was almost like a hostel kind of horror thing.
Her in the plane mirror was utterly horrifying.
That was proper horror. Yeah, that really spooked me out. What was going on
with her eye?
Yeah, that was crazy. But that was very hard. It was all in there.
Yeah.
He tried to put all movies in one movie. I wouldn't be surprised if I found out that Luc Besson had like a week to live or something. Like he found out before making the movie. He's got
that's what I said.
All the movies I want to make, and I've only got an hour and a half.
It's all the movies that he's made and is ever going to make in one movie. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was wonderful, guys. Thanks so much for sharing the 3rd anniversary with me.
Happy
Thanks so
birthday.
much for treating
Happy
me.
birthday to the diner.
Treating me to.
A little of this.
I liked that. Very effective sound effect work.
Thank you very much for being on the show,
Thank you for having me.
And thanks very much for joining us again,
Thank you for having me as well.
Okay, let's all go home to bed.
It's a good idea.
Like the show? Well, you can find our complete podcast archive over at amdpodcast.blogspot.com or aftermoviediner.com. You can send us an email at aftermoviediner@gmail.com, tweet us at aftermoviediner, or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/aftermoviediner. Or why not be a part of the show and leave us a voicemail over at speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner. You can also support the show a number of ways: by spreading the word to family, friends and co-workers, by writing us a review over at iTunes or TalkShoe, by purchasing some excellent diner merchandise over at cafepress.com/aftermoviediner, by donating on our website, by advertising with our website, or maybe you're a regular Amazon user. If so, then before you make a purchase, go to amdpodcast.blogspot.com, aftermoviediner.blogspot.com, or aftermoviediner.com and click through the Amazon banner ads. It costs you nothing extra, but they throw us a few coins for the trouble. Or, like the movies we cover, then buy them over at our personal Amazon store, also on amdpodcast.blogspot.com. Really, thanks everybody for everything you continue to do, and please keep listening.
There are men. And then there are second unit podcast men. The podcast you've just been listening to is part of the Second Unit Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at 2upn.blogspot.com or on Facebook under the Second Unit Podcast Network. Our fantastic list of shows include Drunk on VHS, We Came from the Basement, No Budget Nightmares, The After Movie Diner, Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid, and Bloodbaths and Boomsticks. Take one podcast into the shower. Don't be a blithering idiot, Alan. We can give you the multiple podcast cleansing system all in one place that your hair deserves. Our programming is available across all platforms, from iTunes to Podomatic, TalkShoe to Stitcher, so you have absolutely no excuse. Listen today, and a free naked person of your choice will be shipped from Thailand to your door in a matter of weeks. The Second Unit Podcast Network, bringing you the action and leaving the boring stuff to the other guys. Bloody hell, who does a girl have to blow around here to get a decent beverage?